I'm invisible. Are you all members of a class, like an AP government class or something? Yeah. AP government? And this is your teacher here? Yeah. What are you studying right now?
We just finished presidency, right? Yeah, started later.
And does AP government, is it just federal or do you cover state government as well?
A little bit of state government.
Well, let me tell you what I'm doing here, and then I'd love to just talk and maybe, hey, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love a cup of coffee if you just want. I'll tell you what I'm doing here, and then I'd love to answer your questions or talk about whatever you want to talk about. The legislative session adjourned on the 13th of March, and I decided what I would like to do, and I did this last year and it worked out pretty well. So when the session was over, come and do a set of town hall meetings around Virginia, where I would, in this instance, I'm doing 10, and this is my 8th, where I'll just talk about some things about the state. Here's what we just did during the legislative session. Here's some things that we didn't get done that we're still working on. And I'll do that for about a half an hour, and then I'll just open it up and take questions or comments or criticisms or suggestions from whoever wants to ask me. I brought staff here so that if people have questions but they don't want to stand up and ask in a room full of people, there will be a table where people can go and get their questions about state government answered. And we've done, as I say, we've done 7 of these. Did one last night in Withville. We were in Withville last night. And then I'm going to do 2 more, one in Loudon next week and then Fairfax the following week. But it's just a great way to talk a little bit about the session, but also to hear from people. Because you can kind of get tunnel vision being on Capitol Square and just think about things right there in Richmond, but it's really important to get out and go around the different communities and talk to folks. And so you'll see, if you stay tonight, you'll probably see a whole bunch of different kinds of questions asked. People are interested in a lot of different things. But it's just a way to give people an opportunity to talk to their governor or get an answer to a question if that's what they want to do. So you'll hear me just basically talk about things in the session. And I'm really glad to be here with you guys. And congratulations, Martinsville High School is one of the 14 schools in the state that just recently was given an award, basically a grant and award to increase AP coursework and the number of students that take AP, which is something that we're really excited about. And it's a great feather in the cap for Martinsville High School. Virginia is a state where we're 3rd in the nation in the percentage of our high school kids that take and pass AP exams, which is a very good thing. But we're really trying to make sure that that's not just because there are some regions of the state where there's a lot of AP exams. We really want to make sure that there's strong AP programs all over the Commonwealth. And so the 14 different schools that received the award were from all parts of the Commonwealth, and really was glad that Martinsville High School was one of the ones that was given an award. But with that, so let me open it up. Any questions you guys? But if I ever see a governor, here's what I'm going to ask. Feel free.
What inspired you to become lead a life of public service?
Well, that's a very good question. I got really inspired to lead a life of public service when I went to the University of Missouri, and then I went to Harvard Law School. But when I was at law school, I realized I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I took a year off, and I worked with missionaries in Honduras. And there was a particular guy there named Jim O'Leary, who was a missionary, who really became kind of a mentor for me in my life. Great example. And by the time I was done with that year, I ran a school there that taught kids to be welders and carpenters. By the time I was done with that year, I knew I really wanted to be a public servant. I didn't think I wanted to be an elected official. I thought, work in a church, work in neighborhood organizations. I was a lawyer. I did civil rights work, helping people out who had been discriminated against either because of their race or disability. But all that was because of, many influences, but especially Jim and that year that I spent in Honduras. About 10 years after I'd started practicing law in Richmond, when I moved there to marry my wife, I got mad at my city council one day. I used to go to city council meetings sometimes because I was representing a charity that occasionally would have business before city council. And I would sit, and the issues that I was there on were usually not controversial, but I kind of watched the city council on other issues, and I just didn't like what I was seeing, so I made a decision to run for office. Never thought I'd be in politics, but I ran for office. I served 2 terms as a city councilor and 2 terms as a mayor. In my 4th term, my last term as mayor, I announced that I wasn't going to run again for mayor. I was on my way out of politics in 2000. But a friend of mine who I was supporting to be lieutenant governor, Emily Kerr, who's a state senator from Charlottesville, developed pancreatic cancer a year before the race and had to pull out of the race. And so then there was a void in that spot, and I decided that I would run. So I've had kind of it hasn't been what I planned to do, and yet serving other people is what I plan to do. And this is one good way to do it. There are other good ways too.
What do you?
Oh, please. Yeah, you're Haley or Howard?
Haley. Yeah. What do you enjoy most about being governor of Virginia?
Well, it's hard to say because there's so many things I enjoy. But I mean, the two things that are the best are I get to hire a lot of great people. So I've got some really good staff who are here. And there's something really satisfying about I get to pick the person who is the superintendent of public instruction who oversees the curriculum in every school in the Commonwealth. And that is a great feeling to go out and find Dr. Billy Canada is the guy that I picked to be in that position. I could, the head of my Secretary of Public Safety who oversees the state police, corrections, juvenile justice, a really talented individual. My Secretary of Health and Human Resources is from Martinsville, a woman, Marilyn Tabner, who grew up here and who got a nursing scholarship to attend a nursing program, eventually worked her way up to be head of a hospital, head of a chain of hospitals, a national executive with a healthcare company, and is now my Secretary of Health and Human Resources from Martinsville. I really feel like I can just go find the best of the best. I mean, there's 7.5 million people in Virginia, and there's a lot of really talented people. And I can go to them and say, will you, for 4 years with me, will you serve to try to make Virginia a better place? And that is a really fun part of my job. The other fun thing is, everywhere I go, I run into people who are doing good things. So educators who are trying to do novel things to improve the number of kids who can take AP courses, or people who are, I got my JROTC folks here, folks who are in the Guard or the active duty. Virginia has so many people in the Guard or in active duty. And I meet people who are really dedicated to serving in communities all over the Commonwealth. And that is always a very energizing thing. You meet people who are focused on public service and doing good things, and that makes the job a lot of fun. But so how about you guys? What are you going to do next year? Do you know?
Wow. I just got a rejection letter from JMU like yesterday, and that's why I really wanted to go.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's sad, but as of right now, I don't know because I got into 2 other schools and I'm waiting on another one.
And so probably in the next week or so is when most everybody's hearing, right? So,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Well, you're going to have a great, great opportunities. You really will.
I hope so.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm going to JMU. I got my acceptance letter Saturday.
Maybe I shouldn't ask.
But that's what, yeah.
All the schools that I applied to when I was going to college, I didn't get into some, I got into some, but I didn't get financial aid. And so all the schools I got into, I couldn't go to because I couldn't afford. So what I ended up doing is I had to go talk my way in long after the dates had passed to get into the University of Missouri, which was not hard to get into when I was growing up. And it wasn't what I wanted to do. I had all these other schools I wanted to go to. My family couldn't afford any of them. I had to kind of go up there. All my high school classmates, they were seniors. They all knew where they were going. I was like, I don't know where I'm going. And it worked out fantastic. So you're gonna do fine. Yeah, any of you interested in politics? I mean, it's something that you might do.
It's intimidating.
It is. I would encourage you. If you're interested, I want to encourage you because people who, want to help others and who have a good educational background, ought to think about doing it. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. School board, city council, mayor, in the legislature, think about federal office. There's all kinds of different levels, but they're all important. Sometimes people ask me advice if they're interested in politics, and the one piece of advice I give is, I think my political career was helped by the fact that I did not want to go into politics. And so I actually did something first for a while, so that when I decided to go into politics, I actually had some kind of real world experiences in another area that I could bring to politics. And so I think it's important to get your kind of what you want to do with your life. Politics shouldn't be a career. I think politics should be something that you come to once you have a career. So, find something that you really love and that you want to do and do well at, and then take that into political life. In the legislature of Virginia, we have veterinarians, pharmacists, physicians, a tree surgeon, lawyers, a lot of them, but teachers or retired teachers, senior citizens, and having that mixture of different skills, business people, having that mixture of different skills actually is a real positive thing. So I would give that as a little bit of advice.
After the Virginia Tech shootings, has the state done anything about the whole mental health issues at all?
Yeah, you're going to hear me talk about this tonight, and I will probably do a press conference on about the 9th or 10th of April with people from around the state to talk about everything that we've done in the aftermath of Virginia Tech. I came back, I was on a foreign trade mission and came back, I just had landed and we turned around and came right back. And within 24 hours, I had appointed this panel of people to review everything that happened and give us advice. And the panel did a very good job. In late August, they made a set of recommendations: mental health, gun laws, campus security, emergency communication, sharing of information, a whole series of recommendations, but probably the biggest were the mental health recommendations. And what we ended up doing this year, the legislature and I worked together to significantly increase funding for community mental health services, so that when people have a mental health need, if you're told, well, we can see it, but it'll take a month to get an appointment, a month might go and they may not want to come back. You got to take advantage of that, of the opportunity when people are ready to be treated. So we increased funding for mental health. We also changed some of the legal standards as to when a court can order someone to be either institutionalized or receive outpatient care. And then we put some new, what I would call kind of management techniques in place to make sure that if somebody is ordered to do that, will there be follow-up to make sure that they did, that they're getting help, or do they need new services? So it's a combination of funding, changing some of the laws and standards, and then putting accountability and management mechanisms in place to ensure that people are doing what they're supposed to do and providing quality of care. Of all the things that the legislature did this year, and I'll go over a number of items after, I think it's probably the thing that will have the biggest impact, that will have an impact on the state for some time to come. The family members of the folks at Tech who were injured or killed were really, really helpful in working with us on this to try to make the system stronger so that we can minimize the chance that something like this will happen. Other issues or questions? Well, you guys are good. And again, coming in on spring break, that's above and beyond.